Welcome to Parenting Successful Teens, the podcast that cuts through the overwhelm and stress of this phase and offers parents simple, practical, cognitive, science-based strategies for keeping their teens on track. Join Master Coach and real-life mom, Allie Irwin, to talk about real teens, real problems, and the skills it takes to raise successful adults.
Hello, everybody. I had a difficult week last week with kid 2. I need to come up with fun nicknames for my 2 kids so that I can maintain a modicum of privacy, but yet you know who I'm talking about without some complicated, unfun descriptor. So for this week, we'll just go with kid 2. She has a situation that we had essentially different ideas on how to approach, different ideas on how to solve. So it turned into a really, really interesting week now that I'm through it, now that it's over and I have dealt with all my feelings about it and we roughly have a solution. Now I've got enough distance about it that I can mine it for gold for you all. So imagine a situation with your child, and I'm going to kind of step it out in phases and then give you like the big idea for the week. So phase 1 is she explains what is going on, and we both kind of gather data about how to solve the situation. This is one of those situations where phone calls needed to be made and resources needed to be lined up. It wasn't something that we could just decide on the spot. So phase 1 is problem presented and gather data time. Okay, phase 2, and it wasn't all formal like this. We are not robots, but I'm just kind of breaking it down because my engineering brain really relaxes when there's structure to think about things, because when you're in them, they feel so messy and complicated and hard to see your way through. And if I had someone tell me last week, okay, this is the structure of how solving the situation is going to play out, it would have been really helpful to me. So I hope it's helpful to you. So phase 1, understanding what the problem is and data gathering. Phase 2, we each come up with our own solution for how to solve the situation. Okay, so she's pitching what she thinks is the best way to handle it, and then I'm doing the same. I'm explaining why I think my idea on how to solve it is a better one. Now, I would love to say something like, I explain why my idea has merit. That's what my former engineering self would say. But that makes me sound much more open-minded than I actually was, because I was pretty certain that my way was better. And because I'm a human, I'm a parent, I am right in this with you all. Like, I was talking to all my other adult friends and they were agreeing with me that my way made so much more sense than her way. Like, I was feeling that I was right about this, and that my job as a good mom was to explain to her why my idea made way more sense than hers did. So you can see what's going on where we are in phase 2. We both have solutions, and we both like our solution way better than we like each other's solution. So now we're in phase 3, and phase 3 is the messy part. Her solution is kind of freaking me out. It's both vaguely, see if you can relate. It's both vaguely hurting my feelings and stoking several specific fears that I have when it comes to her. And for me, those fears are specifically things I'm afraid I didn't teach her well enough, and things that trigger me about my own upbringing that are being triggered by this situation. Now, because I've done a whole bunch of work on myself, my communication styles. I've been a coach since 2016. I've had great coaching, great therapy. Because of all that work that we have done, this messy part never got heated. When things weren't feeling productive, we would just stop and regroup. But even though we weren't throwing tantrums or saying things that we regret, this disagreement still sucked. It really sucked. I want to be super clear that you can do everything right as a mom, and your kid can do everything right. And sometimes it's still just going to be really hard. But here's the super cool part. Here's the part you're like, Allie, what's even the point then? If it's still going to be hard, why even bother to do all this work? Here's why. By staying in the conversation and staying connected and staying true to like what was true for us, we were able to come to a resolution that we were both happy with. And I want to say it was like maybe day 4, I could suddenly really begin to hear her side. Honestly, all the days up until then, when I was really still wedded to my idea and feeling like a good mom, moving my fantastic idea forward, I thought I was seeing her side. I was just disagreeing with it, but I wasn't. And here's what was happening. It was like I was wearing a particular pair of glasses. This is my big idea this week, and so I want you to stay with me while I explain the metaphor a little bit. I want you to think about how a physical pair of glasses changes how you see things around you. Polarized glasses reduce glare so that you can see around the water more clearly. I can see when I'm getting too close to the shore, whereas if I'm wearing $5 sunglasses from the grocery store, the glare from the water bothers me more. Glasses with a big thumbprint on them or a scratch can give you a blind spot. You know, if there's like a smudgy spot on your sunglasses, it's harder to see in the area where that smudge is. Glasses with the wrong prescription can make everything blurry and give you a headache. Whereas glasses with the correct prescription make everything sharper and clearer. So I'm using glasses as a metaphor for how I'm seeing the situation. I'm wearing a pair of glasses, and so is she. Okay, so the polarized glasses, if you can think about like what that metaphor is, how that relates to how you might be seeing things with your kids, certain lenses reduce glare, like certain thoughts calm us down, like we can handle whatever comes our way. Those are polarized. That's a polarized lens for me, is believing that I can handle whatever situation comes my way. Old triggers are like the opposite of polarized lenses. Like they make you more sensitive to the sunlight. Glasses with a big thumbprint or a scratch can give you a blind spot. That's really similar to the idea that we all have blind spots, right? Like one of my blind spots is I just think my kids are the most amazing. I think they hung the moon. They're so amazing. And so admittedly, I occasionally have a few little blind spots to their flaws. So glasses with the wrong prescription that make everything blurry and give you a headache, that's an equivalent of seeing the world through someone else's eyes that doesn't know your family, right? Their prescriptions for what you should do for your family are blurry. Like they're not designed for your family. They will give you a headache to enforce nonsense advice that you read on a clickbait article online. You know, those are blurry solutions for your family. Seeing your family through those authors' eyes, that's a blurry solution. So my glasses have me seeing the situation through my experience. My pair of glasses is made up of who I am as a person, my particular relationship with work and leisure and money and place, and my other family relationships, my kids, my husband, my relationship with my mom, the thing that happened with my second grade teacher, all of the me, the physical me, and the experiences of me. Those are what make up my lenses, and it's the same thing for her. I want to be really clear that no one has completely clear lenses. We're all seeing the world like through our own set of lenses. And I was trying to see the situation from her side. But I wasn't until I fully realized that I was seeing her perspective through my perspective. Okay, that's a little mind-bendy, right? Like I was trying to see it from her side. But what I had forgotten is that I was seeing her side through my own perspective instead of just fully hear it from her. Okay, every time your kid says, "I'm not you, Mom." So every time your kids say, "I'm not you, Mom," that's what they're saying. They're giving you a heads up that you are seeing their situation through your glasses. So cool, isn't it? Oh, that's so cool. Now, I'm not saying that your experience is wrong or bad. Our experience of knowing what's going to happen if you never brush your teeth, knowing what happens if you don't pay your credit card bill on time, like I have a whole lot of wisdom that is valuable, and so do you. But mixed in with that wisdom is just like a whole bunch of other stuff that colors my experience that, if I'm not aware of that stuff, gets in the way of seeing her perspective. So I'm going to use a specific example right here because I don't want this to just be theoretical. I want to play this out in an example so you can really see what I'm talking about. Okay, say your daughter always loved grilled cheese sandwiches. That was her comfort food, her favorite snack. And she comes home from school one day, she's had a really hard day, and you can tell she's upset about something that happened. And you offer to make her a grilled cheese sandwich as a way of comforting her. But this time, instead of it being comforting, she rejects the grilled cheese sandwich. And to you, it feels like she's rejecting your comfort. And she storms upstairs and she's like, "I'm not a baby." And you are now feeling rejected and worried about whatever's got her so upset that she won't even eat a grilled cheese sandwich. And you're feeling worried about that and upset that your baby is growing up and you don't know what to do to help her. And now the whole thing's a mess. So for you, grilled cheese sandwich equals comfort. Okay, that is part of the lens of how you see the situation. And also in your lens is this idea that her storming up to her room is a rejection. Okay, can you see how like you offered comfort and you felt rejection? All of that is part of your mom glasses. And also part of your mom glasses is probably some worry now about what caused her upset and worry that you don't know how to comfort your daughter and you want to. Okay, all of that's just part of your mom glasses. And her storming upstairs doesn't necessarily mean any of those things because she's got her own pair of glasses that colored her experience. Okay, so her storming upstairs could mean, for example, that her nervous system was just overloaded from the day and she wasn't ready to talk about the situation. Could have just been a flight response, like in fight or flight, when your kids like storm up to their room, that's flight. Okay. And that's just a nervous system response. It doesn't really mean, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Their system is just overwhelmed. It could mean that someone made a snide comment about her body. And your offer of cheese and butter and bread means that that person was right. Like might have felt like, "Oh yeah, that sounds good." And then remember that person's snide comment and that caused her to storm upstairs. It could mean you don't care about her health. I'm laughing because, Instagram nutrition and health tips is like the bane of so many parents' existence because she maybe has just read some nonsense Instagram story about how eating cheese means she'll die alone or causes acne or hates animals. And now you offer her cheese and she's just read about how like only the worst people are still eating animal products and that sends her over the edge. Or it could mean that in her mind, you're still treating her like a baby instead of remembering that grilled cheese isn't her comfort food right now. Maybe lattes are her comfort food. And all of those things are part of her pair of glasses, right? Like if your kid's like, I'm not a baby, oftentimes that's what's happening, is like they've shifted, and in their glasses, they see themselves as their shifted person. And maybe they shifted and you didn't even know because it's a new shift, or maybe you've forgotten because you're worried about whatever it is she's upset about. Okay, so in a simple version, your pair of glasses sees comfort. Her pair of glasses sees that you're treating her like a baby. And this grilled cheese example, it's like such a small example. So now magnify out how much harder it is when it's something that's a trigger for you, something that you're already sensitive about because you see it as a potential personal flaw, or like a deeper potential something you failed at as a mom. Which you didn't, by the way, but we all feel that way sometimes. So my example here is a personal one. I was just a hella people pleaser for the longest time. I can't even think how old I was, certainly into my 40s. I'm highly agreeable by nature. And until I really, really understood boundaries, which honestly are still hard for me in relationships that I really care about, like I was such a people pleaser. So of course, I've got some low-level worry that kind of hums in the background that I didn't properly teach my kids this skill that I basically didn't have until they were well into their teen years. So I've got kind of a hair trigger response whenever I think that one of my kids might not be advocating for their own needs. Okay, that is a big old thumbprint on my glasses. And I don't even realize in the moment that I'm triggered about my stuff because it's just so much a part of the lens of how I see the world that I have to remind myself it's a little bit of a blind spot for me. And of course I wanted to advocate for herself. Like in the moment, it feels super true. But it's the proportionality of my response to it that's kind of a smudge in my lens. Okay, I'm not saying that I don't want her to advocate for herself, but I'm saying I overreact to those situations where either of my kids are not advocating for themselves because that's a trigger for me. And the big takeaway this week is the problem isn't that we're wearing these glasses. Everyone is always seeing the world through their lens. The problem is when we're not aware of our particular lens. Okay, that's the juicy nugget I want to offer you today, is to just start noticing what ideas and experiences are part of your parenting glasses. How are they affecting your interaction with your kids? Okay, what things are frequent triggers for you? And where in those triggers are like little smudges or scratches, or are they not polarized so that you're more reactive than necessary to the situations? I would love to hear what you discover when you put this into practice, or if you have any questions, or if you could use any support in seeing what your glasses are. You can shoot me an email at allie@allieirwin.com. Have a great week. Hey, did you love this? Then you should get on my email list because I am just as much fun in writing. And I share different things via email, so double up on the goodness. And don't hesitate to leave me a review because that would make me so happy.